Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, I'm going to give you guys a waffle video about ranked. So you guys love it when I just waffle purely, and if you guys love the waffle videos, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. No, but seriously, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed in ranked. You know, it's not all doom and gloom. Ranked has definitely improved over the years. A lot of the pros will think, okay, well, from the Power League days, Power League was still at the upper echelon, but here's some improvements to ranked, which I'm hoping they'll do in the next update, which they pretty much alluded to in the Time to Explain podcast. If you missed that podcast, make sure to check it out on Brawl Stars' channel. But yeah, essentially they're going to be doing like a ranked update, but not like a complete ranked rework. Essentially, I think that's what I kind of judge from it, but they want to make a ton of improvements. So let's just go through a bunch of improvements which I want to see. Again, I probably reiterated these points a lot in the past, but there are some really good ideas as well. So starting off with matchmaking, that is probably like the number one for me. The number one for me. Wow, tongue twister. Because there's a few things, right? Everyone's going to complain about matchmaking. They do all the time in Brawl Stars and other games as well. You always get bad randoms, etc. It's really hard for Brawl Stars to understand, you know, who's bad, who's good, just purely through algorithm. But they did kind of promise some really good changes with ladder system in terms of matchmaking, the hidden MMR system. If you guys don't understand what that means, essentially there's like some underlying data, like in terms of a bunch of different things contributing to how good a player is, basically behind the scenes. So it's not just based off your brawler trophies or your account trophy, you know what I mean? There's like multiple factors that go into it, but it's not shown anywhere in game. You know, you don't have anywhere in your profile that indicates your MMR level. This happens a lot in other games as well. Again, I don't really play other games too frequently in terms of rank systems, etc. But I just know for a fact in multiple bigger games, there's definitely hidden MMR systems, especially in ranked as well. So yeah, this just helps for fairer matchmaking. So I'm hoping that they introduce this in ranked. I hope they've learned a lot, especially over a couple of months in terms of finalizing like a really cool matchmaking system, and they can implement in ranked, like I said, because currently right now in ranked, you can manipulate matchmaking quite easily. Also, quite frequently as well, you know, I play a ton of ranked, and the ranks just aren't distributed evenly throughout the game. So for example, there's just so many times where I've had like a full Masters team and I'm facing off against a full Legendary 3 team, or even like a Legendary 2 on the enemy team. That's just a waste of time for everybody, right? Like I gain 50 elo, the enemy team doesn't really gain any satisfaction out of that. It's just a one-sided affair. But if we like mesh the two teams together more frequently, then it will be more fair gaming experience. It will be an equal game, and the elo distribution will be a lot more equal and fair. So this is just obvious. You would have thought after years and years of a rank system that they would have at least like tackled this one. So I think it's the easiest one to tackle, and I hope they can do this. So the next point I want to talk about is actually one after watching Karas's video. He did a really good video. I recommend watching it, over about like ranked and like the fairness of like ranked, and hopefully we can give like more opportunities to the up and coming players, you know, to help them compete better in ranked, etc. And I really agree on a ton of his points. So Brawl Stars have already made like one great change with esports. If you guys missed it, on the second channel I did a video about unretiring, but there's a really cool like challenges event which is going on basically. So a bunch of the like semi-pros or tier 2 players, the ones that just can't quite like even get a chance at like a last chance qualifiers or booking a spot at the world finals, there's another chance and a way for people to get into like the pro circuit. So that's a really cool initiative, and that's just like one step, and I'm hoping that, you know, the good work that they've done with esports in that sense then moves over to ranked. So again, a good change would be what Kairos said. So Kairos said basically one of the biggest things that not a lot of people are talking about, which he makes a great point. I just thought Brawl Stars would never do this. So allowing players to be maxed out at a certain point. I mean, again, I just thought, okay, but this is just, I'm just used to how the Brawl Stars you know, the ecosystem works. I'm just like, okay, there's no point even suggesting this, because I think that Brawl Stars just wants to encourage players to max out and you know, upgrade their accounts, etc. But he does make a good point. I think at a certain level, I feel like players should have a maxed out account. I think they should. I don't know what the level is. I would highly recommend a Masters and above, because at least Masters is a decent level. I suggest pretty much everything should be like gatekeepered around Masters. If players get to Masters, you know, they're at a decent level. They should know how to draft. They should know how to play. I think so. I mean, actually, I've played some Masters games, and some people play bow lanes still, for some reason. Anyways, I think that would be a great change. So what I probably suggest is allowing players to be fully maxed out at above masters, you know, above masters 2, something like that. So again, I know Brawl Stars are probably really not wanting to do this, right, because it could hurt them financially in some ways, but I feel like it should be fair for a lot of people, right? Like competitive esports, if you play any part of esports, right, if you play in the qualifiers, if you play in the monthly finals, everybody has a maxed out account. So why can't we replicate that in ranked? I think that gives a lot more of a fair chance, especially for the younger players. I think that was the point that I resonated most with Kairos, especially when I was younger. You know, I hardly, you know, got a chance to get any money from my parents in terms of like putting it on not Brawl Stars, on any game really, right? Like I had to wait till I was old enough age, and then I could get my own job, etc., to put money on the game. So it's pretty hard. Even in Brawl Stars, it is really free to play friendly. Of course, it is in comparison to other Supercell titles, but it takes a very long grind to max out. So I just think it would be a lot fairer if a lot more people got to, at least if they're holding back on maxing out a whole player's account when they get to masters, whatever, they should at least increase the amount of characters, well, brawlers that are maxed out, right? Like I feel like it should at least be, I don't know, around 20, or I was going to say like at least half of your brawlers maxed out. They should really highly increase the amount of brawlers maxed out once you get to a higher level. You know, maybe the higher you get in ranked, the more brawlers that get maxed out. You know, for example, if you're at like diamond, you know, you have the 3. If you go up another one from that, you get another 3. If you get to legendary, you get like 10 brawlers maxed out. If you get to masters, you know, 25 brawlers maxed out. I think that'd be a great stepping stone, especially for the younger audience. So yeah, I don't want to dive too much into that because again, I'm not too into like the economics. You know, I've been maxed out for a very long time thanks to a lot of really good currency changes. You know, that's one of the reasons why I was able to stay maxed out for a long time. Anyways, let's move on to some other rank things. So next up, I've got less elo loss when your teammate disconnects from a round. So this is just in general in terms of griefing. I feel like Brawl Stars need to do more in terms of fixing the problems when, you know, players just disconnect, or, you know, they sit in spawn. There's a lot of griefing that goes on, especially down the lower ranks. I think there just needs to be maybe just a better report system in general. I just feel like the elo loss should definitely be harsher, especially if it's quite clear. If, you know, by the stats, like I think there should be a more automated system. You know, for example, if your teammate just hasn't got any damage, if they've got like 10k damage or something, it's quite clear that they've either disconnected or they're just absolutely horrendous. So you shouldn't be losing as much elo as you would beforehand, because you're literally at a handicap because your teammate just forgot to switch their brain on. I mean, yeah, so that's just one point. I think what they could do to fix this as well, this isn't at the highest priority, but just wanted to mention it. Maybe they could try and implement performance-based kind of elo or ranking. They do this in other games, and it's probably more fair in other games because, you know, games are much longer, a lot more spread out, there's a lot more data. And in Brawl Stars, you probably don't want to encourage players too much to just, you know, solely go for damage, solely go for kills. I'm just maybe just like a small, just a smidge of it, just so if I'm playing really good, you know, I've got the highest KD and the most damage, I don't feel as bad. You know, I'm carrying my team, but I'm still losing some big elo. I'm just hoping that is something that can help me out in that sense. Next up, this is just a small detail. I've got, if an enemy is found guilty of win trading, or, you know, say, you know, when you report a player and it says, you know, okay, well, this player has lost rep, or I forgot what it says in your inbox, you know, action has been taken on, you know, said player. At least, you know, if that action has been taken and they're found guilty of, you know, like trolling, win trading, whatever, you lose, you like, you gain a bit of that elo back. You know, I'm not asking for all of it. I'm just hoping some automated system, you know, just give me a little bit of pity, right? Like, my teammates just completely win traded. I shouldn't be losing that full elo. I just shouldn't. I don't know what it's like in other games. Next up, we've got an important one. So I think they should just remove rank drops or completely rework them. I don't know about you guys. When I'm playing my free-to-play account as well, it just feels like a whole lot of nothing. I think the rank drops were really exciting when they were first introduced, but I think it's just lost its meaning. I don't know what they could do instead of it. I just don't really like rank drops. A lot of people complain about them. I just don't think they really fit the Pro Pass anymore, just in my opinion. So let me know whether you agree with that. Next, I think they should include better rewards tied to skill rather than a grind. So I think this is, again, the Pro Pass. I don't know whether it was a hit or a miss, to be honest. In ranked, it seems good. I think some of the rank skins, especially like this Crow one, seems really cool. The Colt one that first released seemed pretty cool as well. But I feel like sometimes they can be tied to too much of a grind rather than skill. And I think what I really like about ranked is the cosmetics that you get with your battle card. You know, the extra star on the battle card when you get like another Masters rank that season, or you know, if you get pro rank for the second time, you get additional star. You know, I like that, but I feel like there should be a few more rewards that are a bit more tied to skill. I don't know what that could be, you know, with like pins or just other ways to flex in game. I'd really enjoy that. So again, maybe that could be like a leaderboard reward where, again, on your profile, it shows you your best ranked finish. I think that would incentivize a lot of pros to push. I've spoke about this a lot. Next up is to do with maps. So maps, again, this is a thing that I've complained about a lot. I think that maps, I mean, it's quite clear. I think they've done it for a long time. I feel like they've wanted to test out too many things inside of ranked. It's all good, like testing a couple of things in ranked, but you know, in the past, you know, they've tested out game modes, they've tested out modifiers, they've tested out maps, which isn't too bad. But I'm still finding that, especially when it's above Masters, these things should really be, you know, that shouldn't be the testing ground. I think if they want to test out anything, I don't even think they should really test out too much. I think above Masters, nothing should be tested out. You know, it should just strictly be, you know, the Brawl Stars Championship maps, modes, etc. You know, everybody maxed out. That would be the most fair ranked experience. That would be so good. I think that would absolutely, you know, that would be amazing. Everybody would love that. So if they want to test out anything, keep it below Masters. You know, if they want to test out, I don't know, one map per game mode, that would be all right. But it's also clear as well that it should probably get some feedback from like pros or content creators, myself, when they test out a map. You know, does this map seem like it could be competitively viable? You know, for example, there's a Brawl map right now where teams diagonally spawn from each other. To me, that doesn't scream competitive. That just screams like spawn randomness. That just screams, I don't know, just unserious. It's like when teleporters added to a map and then they add it to the ranked rotation. It's like when they added like Brawl Hockey or other game modes. I feel like they need a little bit more like feedback from creators and pros to really gauge whether a map could be competitively viable or not. Of course, we can't really always understand whether a map will be or not until it's tested, but I think it's quite clear with some of them. Next up, I have, if they want to test mode, wait, I've done that already. Balance changes need to happen faster and better. So again, we spoke about this a ton, and they used to be really good at it. It's like patches within Brawl Stars life cycle where they're really good. You know, every month they seem to roll out some balance changes and they're quick to fix some broken brawlers. And then sometimes they're just left for too long. And again, they want to, especially with new brawlers, sometimes they want to like take a look at, you know, data. They really need to figure out a way to, you know, balance the brawler. I feel like already when you put out a brawler, I think a lot of the devs would already kind of know, okay, if this brawler was too strong, I feel like there's a few ways where we could nerf already. Like, it's a bit obvious, right? So, for example, for Naja, they buffed her 5 times before release, or 6, I forgot what it was. But it was quite clear that the poison damage was too much. You could auto-aim like crazy. It's just impossible to miss auto-aim near enough. Your attack scouts in a bush automatically for you. The super damage there's a few things that could be just nerfed straight, like after a week. You know, the poison damage, you know, the auto-aim, like slow the projectile down a little bit from the snake. There's a few things that just need to be fixed a bit faster, and that could help with ranked, because everybody gets annoyed when there's, you know, a lot of broken brawlers in the game, right? Like, the meta does impact your experience in ranked and in Brawl Stars in general. So I feel like, yeah, balance changes probably need to happen every month at least, in my opinion. So I know they try and not like nerf, you know, touch balance changes whilst any kind of competitive tournaments going on, but literally last Monday was the perfect time to just throw out some balance changes, because there was no more monthly finals, there were no more monthly qualifiers, you know, that type of thing. There's always a spot in the month where balance changes would be great. So yeah, I was hoping that they would implement some balance changes, because again, there's some really broken brawlers, which, to be honest, in ranked you can actually escape from a lot of these broken brawlers, but it's still annoying, especially if some of them slip through the ban stage. For example, like Bull's hypercharge is completely unstoppable. And in ladder, it's even worse, right? Because you've got to face off against Naja, you've got to face off against Crow, you've got to face off against Bull all the time. So yeah, more frequent balance changes, please. I mean, they did speak about it in time to explain, but I want to see it happen. I need to see it happen, because it's just not fun to constantly face the same broken brawler for a month straight. It's just not. Next up, I've got, so the rank reset system. I think this could be the biggest change. So if I was to pick out 3 changes that I would like to see, I think like fairer matchmaking, I think a less harsher ranked reset system, or just a more fairer ranked reset system. So again, I think they should take inspiration from other games. Again, I think other games are a lot different to Brawl Stars, because Brawl Stars is a lot faster in terms of their games, you know, it's a mobile game, etc. But I think they could really learn some lessons from the other ranked systems. So for example, you know, they could do placement matches. I know in Rocket League, I think in Valorant, League of Legends, and a bunch of other games like that, after the end of every rank reset, again, you'll have to tell me when a rank reset is in these games. I don't know whether it's a month, I don't know whether it's 4 months, 6 months, etc. But there's like placement matches at the beginning of every single rank season. So what this helps achieve, it just helps achieve putting you in a rank that's more fairer. You know, for example, sometimes you can just be stuck in the legendary rank or in the mythic rank because randoms are just so horrible. You know, it even happens to me sometimes that they're just uncarryable. Sometimes you just can't carry randoms and you're just stuck. But if you have the placement matches and, you know, there's like a system that can clearly see, you know, you've got the most damage in that lobby, you've got the most kills, you've got the most objective play, whatever, it could actually help boost your rank early season so you can escape those bad randoms. So yeah, that could be a good way. Also, I just feel like the rank reset, this is the one thing that people speak about the most and what I've heard the most, even from content creators, pros. I just get disheartened myself as well from the rank just resetting so much, and it just takes so long to grind up. Yes, Brawl Stars want to incentivize you to grind the game. That is, of course, going to make their numbers feel better. You know, more players playing the game for longer, that's just music to their ears. But at the same time, I get off-putted a lot of the time because I just know I'm going to be stuck. You know, there's only 1 pro already in the season. Like, it's just going to take just a whole month to grind out, get into pro rank. That's just not something I look forward to every single month right now. It should be a lot fairer and a lot easier to get to the higher ranks in my, well, you know what I mean, like a bit, yeah. I don't know whether it should be easier because I like it being pretty hard to get, but something just needs to change. I don't know the ins and outs, but please just change something about the grind. It is just too much sometimes, and it just discourages a lot of players. Next up, I've got like improved communication throughout draft and in game. So I'd really like there to be like more ping features or more like quick chat features inside of the draft. Everyone talks about UI, that, you know, that should have been changed, you know, years and years ago, like whilst I was still competing. You know, draft UI needs to look a lot cleaner. Just making more brawlers readily available on the screen at one point would be really nice. I really like the favorite system. That has really helped me out in ranks. I've favorited like some of the best brawlers in the game, and it's just pretty easy to keep track of them. But there just needs to be more communication, you know, like, for example, tell your teammate, you know, go tank counter, go assassin, go aggro, go, you know, gem carrier, go a lane brawler, go a thrower, etc. Like, it should just be really a lot easier to communicate quickly to your team in terms of draft, because draft is very, very important. The more that I've learned about draft, especially after watching the esports a lot closer this month, I'm already in Masters 2. I've not even really played that much. I've just perfected draft pretty well, and it makes a big impact, and I'm suggesting my teammates more in draft, and it's just helping a lot more frequently. So yeah, I'm finding that more draft features would be pretty good, because again, draft is pretty fun and it's just another part of the game. Next up, I've got like maybe some suggested picks related to your rank. So this could help players that are at like, I don't know, Diamond and Mythic, just, you know, suggesting a group of brawlers maybe that are good on that game mode. You know, for example, Knockout Bounty, is pretty obvious what the better brawlers should be, you know, like snipers, you know, suggest them a class which is pretty good. Just small suggestions, not anything crazy, which is like data driven, would be a pretty nice way to help people climb the ranks, especially for the noobs that just don't understand the concept of lanes, mids, etc. Next up, report system. Report system needs to be better. So again, we spoke about this a lot, but with report systems, I feel like they just can't just go into the air. Like, where do they even go? Do they just all get sent off to space and just vanish in the void? Like, I don't know where they go most of the time. So there needs to be a better system for win trading. There needs to be a better system for, you know, like the hackers that are in the higher level elo lobbies. There just needs to be a way to know that, you know, if you reported this player, you know, there's something actually going to be done about that. Right now, you know, luckily I can probably get, you know, some win traders and hackers banned out a lot quicker, but in game there's just not really a way to do that. Next up, I've spoke about leaderboard finish, and then lastly, global bans. I think this is very obvious, so that's why I left it towards the end. Global bans, more bans, everybody's been asking for that. It's just really self-explanatory, right now in the esports, funny enough, I feel like 2 global bans per team is too much, but as there's more brawlers introduced, it will probably feel a bit better. But there definitely needs to be more bans. 100 brawlers in the game, so many broken brawlers in the game, right? Like I said, there's about 12 S-tier brawlers in the meta right now. Yeah, there needs to be more bans for sure. So that is going to be it. Quite a big ramble session, but I just think these are the most important features. Again, like we want better matchmaking, less grindy like reset system, like a more fairer rank distribution in the end, and we just want like better rewards. We want more competitiveness. They said they'd focus on competitiveness in ranked, and I'm hoping they can do this, because then it will incentivize pros to play, because again, I don't think enough pros really play as much ranked as they should. It should be more serious. If players want a more casual experience, you've got map maker, you've got so many game modes on ladder, you've got solo showdown, trio, you know what I mean? There's so many fun game modes outside of ranks. Leave ranked to competitive players. This is what ranked should be. This is literally, it should replicate Brawl esports as much as possible, so then we can funnel more and more players going into Brawl esports, and just, it's a win-win. Brawl esports is fantastic, and I just wish more people could experience it. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Again, let me know down in the comment section below any more suggestions. Hopefully, the update won't be for like a few weeks. If there's any really strong suggestions that the dev team have missed out, hopefully I can give some feedback to them, and maybe they can implement it in time. But that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.